What if I told you the world's biggest drug cartel wasn't a gang, wasn't a mafia, but an empire? What if I told you the British Crown got rich by pushing narcotics? This isn't Netflix. This isn't fiction. This is the Opium Wars. The story of how the so-called civilized world got China addicted, looted India, and reshaped global history. All in the name of profit. In the 1700s, Britain was obsessed. Not with gold, not with conquest, but with tea. China had it. Britain wanted it. There was just one problem. China didn't want anything Britain had, so Britain's silver kept flowing out, and the empire was bleeding cash. How do you solve this? Simple. You find a product so addictive, China can't say no. That product? Opium. The East India Company, the corporate monster of its age, forced Indian farmers to grow opium. Not wheat, not rice, not food. Opium. Ship after ship smuggled it into China. And it worked. Millions of Chinese were hooked. Imagine whole families from peasants to nobles wasting away in smoky dens. China called it a poison. Britain called it business. The crisis exploded. By the 1830s, opium addiction was crippling China. The emperor had enough. He sent Commissioner Lin Zexu, a man determined to save his people. Lin demanded Britain stop the trade. He even wrote Queen Victoria herself. If opium is banned in your land, why do you poison mine? Her response? Silence. When Lin destroyed Britain's opium stockpiles in Canton, worth millions, the British didn't back down. They declared war. This was no fair fight. Britain's steam-powered warships unleashed industrial firepower. China fought with outdated weapons, ancient cannons, and sheer desperation. The result? A massacre. In 1842, China surrendered. The Treaty of Nanking forced them to pay millions, hand over Hong Kong, and open their ports. Britain had turned a nation's weakness into its empire's strength. But Britain wasn't done. When China resisted again, they came back, this time with France by their side. The Second Opium War ripped through Chinese cities. And the loot? Obscene. British and French soldiers stormed Beijing, looting the emperor's summer palace, then burning it to the ground. Imagine it. Centuries of art, treasure, culture, gone in smoke. And all while opium poured in by the ton. Let's call this what it was. The world's first narco-state. A global drug cartel backed by a flag, a company logo, and royal approval. Britain enslaved Indian farmers to grow opium. They addicted millions of Chinese. And they built an empire off the suffering of two civilizations. This wasn't trade. This was organized crime. Dressed up as empire. The Opium Wars weren't about free trade. They were about greed. They were about power. They were about profit at any cost. Britain called it civilization. History remembers it as humiliation. But here's the question for us. If empires could build themselves on addiction once, how many other times has history hidden the same story? Tell us what you think. Was the British Empire a force of progress? Or the biggest cartel the world has ever seen?